Hi, I'm Malcolm.
And I'm Rachel. We're two Canadians living on our 39-foot mainship trawler, living an adventure of a lifetime. We invite you to follow along as we travel 6,000 miles through Canadian and U.S. waterways around America's Great Loop. Good morning. We're at Alpine Marina today, which is only about a 2-hour boat trip up the Hudson River from New York City. And if you remember, we stopped here yesterday because the water conditions were pretty bad for us to keep going farther up the river. So we had planned to go farther, but we stopped here, and the people at this marina were very kind and took us in. And we have learned that on this river, you certainly don't want to travel with tide against wind, or rather current against wind. It made for an extremely choppy and uncomfortable ride. So it was great to stop here, and it was a really nice place actually, because there are some bluffs here. There's a nice park with some trails, and we spent a nice day with some other loopers here, just relaxing a little bit and calming down after some pretty intense driving. But this morning, we know that the current is going the right way. The winds have really died down, and we're going to have a great day for travel. So we're going to head up the river very shortly. We're about to leave. And we may even go as long as 12 hours. It might be a really long day to make up for some time that we missed yesterday. And the locks actually look like they've opened early, at least the initial lock at Troy, the federal lock. There's a few loopers who've got through there. So we're not going to go through the lock. That's too far for us to go today, but we're just going to make some good headway and get up towards that direction. So we have some plans to meet some family in that area. So we want to get up closer. Maybe just put the anchor down for a couple of days so we're ready to go through the lock on the day that we want to go through. And there's a bit of weather coming, a bit more wind and rain. So we want to kind of make headway and not travel in those conditions. So Malcolm's going to start the engine very shortly, and we'll let go of the lines and head out of Alpine Marine and head up the Hudson River. It's a beautiful day. The sun is coming up. It's just after 5:30. The days are certainly getting longer. We are noticing that. So we're just about ready to go, and hope you're having a great day. Good morning. We're back out on the Hudson.
And what a different day it is today. What an adventure this loop is. Maybe we got a little too confident. Yesterday we started from Liberty Landing, which is right downtown, and we knew it was going to be a bit windy. So it'd been warned it was windy. And one thing to keep in mind, there's no marine forecasts officially for the Hudson. So we thought, wow, that's a pretty narrow body of water. It's long, but...
And there's cliffs on either side?
Yeah, and waves. We've had big waves, so we can handle that. Well, little did we know that the Hudson, in the right wind conditions, in our case it was the northwest, can funnel the air or the wind right down. And for the first time, we had waves that were splashing over the top of the flybridge.
Yeah, that was pretty intense.
So we only had one or two, but after that we were like, we've got to get off this thing. And so luckily there was a marina, Alpine Marina, so a shout out to them, only because we just showed up in this storm.
We called them first, and they said, come on in.
And they took us in, and that was a savior to us, I'll tell you.
And let me add, what they said, go to the fuel dock, and then when we got to the fuel dock, we weren't actually at the fuel dock. We were just kind of in front of it with kind of bouncing all around. It was in their little harbor, but it was still very intense. And they asked Malcolm to back up into a slip quite at the end of their fairway, and you did it. That was amazing, very impressive.
It was a very challenging day. Probably the most challenging piece was coming in these 4-foot short chop waves, if not more, and trying to get in their little entrance to their harbor. So we actually took the boat and we went in at a 45 degree. So it was fun all around. But all that being said, today is a different day.
It's much calmer
The
today.
wind is down, the waves, there aren't any really, it's just little tiny ripples.
Yep.
And we're hoping to do a long day today just to make up for the fact that we had to cut it short yesterday.
Yeah.
So I think we will. I think all things being equal, it looks pretty good today. Everything seems to be operating as expected. So the hope being we get going, we have a nice relaxing cruise up the Hudson. We can enjoy some of this beautiful scenery. There's cliffs on the left side.
It's much better to enjoy it today.
And they're all lit up by the sun.
Yeah.
It's really quite nice. So
Yeah.
let's focus on the scenery and less on the waves. And I'm sure we're going to have a good day today.
Yeah. On this part of the Hudson River, we have on the starboard side is New York State, and on the port side is New Jersey. And just a little bit farther up from here, it will all be New York. So the landscape is changing. We have some hills, and it's a very pleasant morning to be out. The Hudson River is a 315-mile or 507-kilometer body of water that flows from north to south through eastern New York. It originates in the Adirondack Mountains in upstate New York and flows southward through the Hudson Valley to the New York Harbor. It serves as a physical boundary between New York and New Jersey at the southern end. The lower half is a tidal estuary. The flow of the river changes direction with the tides even as far north as the city of Troy. Mountain is one of the best-known peaks of New York's Hudson Highlands. It lends its name to nearby Bear Mountain Bridge and Bear Mountain State Park that contains it. The summit is accessible by a paved road with several roadside viewpoints from which you can see as far as Manhattan. There are also several walking trails. The steep eastern face of the mountain overlooks the Hudson River. The United States Military Academy at West Point is located 50 miles or 80 kilometers north of New York City. It was originally established as a fort since it sits strategically on a prominent plateau on the west bank overlooking the Hudson River. It is the oldest of the 5 American service academies which educates cadets for commissioning into the United States Army. The motto is Duty, Honor, Country. They promote character development, academic excellence, military leadership, and physical development. This competitive program has an 11% acceptance rate. Over the years, it has become more diverse with women and minority cadets. Bannerman's Castle is an abandoned military surplus warehouse dating back to 1900. It was partially destroyed once in 1920 and again in 1969. Today, the island and buildings, which are mostly in ruins, are owned by the state of New York and off limits to the public. We noticed several trains running on either side of the river. The west side seemed to carry more cargo trains and the east side passenger trains. Amtrak passenger service goes from Grand Central New York up to Albany and as far north as Toronto and Montreal and beyond.
afternoon. This is a report from the bridge, and it is getting late in the afternoon. We had an early start this morning, around 6 o'clock sharp. The sun was up, and boy, what a better day it was. There was flat seas, or let's call them flat seas, no wind, and we started off, and we got the tide pretty much right away. And we've been running with the tide the whole time. So now it's around 3:45. And we're only just losing a bit of the tide right now, so it's been a great day from a speed perspective. The water has been great. It's been flat. There's been very little traffic, and that's largely because I think it's early in the season and it's also a weekday, so that helps. Right today we're going to a marina. There's supposed to be quite a blow tomorrow from the south instead of the north, and we're hoping that we're going to be able to get off that dock tomorrow and get ourselves through a couple of locks and into some real fresh water and on our way to Lake Champlain. So we'll see how that all works. It's good to have a plan. We'll see if it survives what happens tomorrow. But for the moment, we are running just over 1800 again. We're at 8 knots, which is really quite good for us at this time of the day with the tide. And I expect we're going to get in around 5:30. Long day, 6 o'clock to 5:30. We've been keeping ourselves busy, but it is a long day, and let's hope it's one of the last ones we have to do that's this long. And that's a report from the bridge.
So we've arrived. It's not really our destination, but we've arrived at Donovan's Shady Harbor Marina, and we met Donovan at the AGLCA Spring Rendezvous. We started up this way with the intention to anchor, but after reviewing the weather and the conditions, we decided that it would have been too much exposure to south winds, and it's supposed to get up very high starting overnight and especially tomorrow. So we thought we'd play it safe and just tie to a dock, since really the river is all north-south, so there really isn't any sort of protection east and west. Anyway, we're here, and we had a really long day. It was just under 12 hours, but we were pushed by the current most of the way, and we went over 90 nautical miles. So it was a really long day, but we're happy to be here and glad that we're close to the lock, so we can try and go through the lock tomorrow and head on through out of saltwater and into freshwater.